What is up, guys? Today we will be comparing the LG G8X to the LG G8. So both of these phones are very similar, but they do have differences that you should know about if you're deciding on getting the X or the regular G8. So starting off with the price, both of these phones are actually, kind of around the same price in the used slash refurbished marketplace. They are out there for around 200 bucks, and brand new these phones are around 300 to 400 bucks, and I'll put those links down below, but they're pretty much the same price, depending on which one you want. Now that's 400 bucks with a dual screen case as well, so you do get that dual screen case if you get it brand new. Alright, let's talk about the design of both phones. So they both pretty much look identical, but they do have differences. So the G8 is definitely smaller than the G8X, as you can see in height and in width as well. So it is a slightly bigger phone, as you can see here, and it is a little bit heavier than the G8. I like the more compact size of the G8 just because I have smaller hands, and yeah, I just like being able to just reach the corners of the screen without having to like shimmy. So I do like the form factor of the G8. That is something to consider if you have smaller hands. So they both have the same flat camera design as well, same G8 branding, but you will see like a little ring around the camera right here, which I don't really like. I think it takes away from how clean the original design looks, but again, that is up to the person. But yeah, same glass and metal design, super premium feeling phones, same button layout, power button. You have the 3.5mm jack with the quad DAC, USB Type-C, stereo speakers on both, same Google Assistant button, volume rocker, so same layout essentially on both of these phones. Alright, let's go ahead and talk about the display quality, starting with the G8X. So you have a 6.4-inch OLED display. It's HDR10, 1080p, and 403 for the PPI. On the G8, you have a POLED display, HDR10, 6.1 inches, 1440p, and 564 for the PPI. So you have a slightly smaller display on the G8. It really comes down to, do you want a bigger display or a smaller display? That is totally up to the person. Now, as far as quality wise, you do have a higher quality screen on the G8. Now, how noticeable is it? Now, you will notice it if you kind of look up closer, and really you notice it when you're looking at icons and stuff like that. If you look at a video 1440p versus the 1080p, you'll kind of notice it. So you will notice the display drop in quality. Now, they both still have excellent displays. Color wise, they're very vibrant, give off really deep blacks, and I love the display quality on both. You will notice you do have a smaller notch on the G8X as well. So that might be something that appeals to you, just not having this bigger notch on the original G8. As far as bezel, they both pretty much have the same amount of bezel. But again, they both are really beautiful displays. I think the G8 is slightly a little bit more saturated than the G8X, but as far as display quality, I would give it to the G8. I do think it looks a little bit sharper than this 1080p panel for sure, but they both are really nice looking panels. I'm pretty sure LG did that because this phone is meant to have the dual screen, so I'm pretty sure two 1440p displays probably would take a big hit on battery life, so that's just my guess. But both displays are excellent, but I do have to give display quality to the G8 here. Alright, so both of these phones pretty much have the same specs. So you do have Android 10 on both of these phones with the same LG UI, Snapdragon 855, Adreno 640. Both have micro SD support, both have 128 gigs of storage, and both have 6 gigs of RAM. So identical specs when it comes to performance. I haven't speed tested these side by side, but let's just do it for fun. They should be, again, identical. Let me make sure everything's closed. And Subway Surfer. Yeah, it's gonna be identical, and that goes for gaming performance as well. So if you haven't seen my gaming video on the G8, check that out. Basically, you can play games high settings. These are two very capable gaming phones, and one of the things you should know about gaming is that if you do decide to get the G8X, you can have that dual screen case and you can have you like a little touch pad controller or whatever, which is really cool. So you can be playing the game and you can have like little touch controls. It's kind of like a Nintendo DS, I guess. And you could do that, and so I think the G8X is going to be great for that, for gamers and stuff like that. Or if you're really heavy into multitasking, then yeah, the G8X is going to be really good. It's going to be the superior device when it comes to, I guess, gaming and multitasking, because you can get that dual screen case. But the phones by themselves definitely perform pretty much the same as we're seeing right here. There is really no difference in terms of, you know, speed here. Now let's go ahead and talk about these speakers. So this is kind of a more interesting thing, I guess. So you can actually see the speaker. The speaker is apparent on the G8X, and LG decided to put the speaker under the glass on the original G8. So it's kind of like, it's not super loud up top here, but I haven't heard them side by side. So let's go ahead and see if we can hear a difference here. Make sure they're max volume. We'll start with the original G8. Alright, the G8X is definitely cleaner when it comes to speaker. I noticed it immediately, especially with bass presence and how clear everything was. Way cleaner. And that's what I was talking about. I wish LG would have just did it this way and just put the speaker out and make it apparent on the G8X, instead of, you know, trying to be fancy with the under the glass thing, which is cool. But again, you can tell the difference immediately, that the G8X speaker sounds better. Yeah, it's just compared to the G8, the G8 sounds a little bit flatter compared to the G8X. So that is one thing I noticed. So definitely for speakers, the G8X, almost instantly I noticed it, a better speaker here. Let's talk about the additional features. So there is no face unlock on the G8X. I've been looking for it because I was like, why would they take it off? So as you can see, when you go into these settings, you can see fingerprints, but I can see fingerprints and the face unlock and hand ID. So you don't have that on the G8X, which kind of sucks, because sometimes you might have something on your hand and you just want to, you know, unlock your phone, or you might want to be one of those people that just want to use the face unlock. This has really good face unlock as well. It's actually real technology with that. A lot of Android phones just have generic face unlock, so you don't have that on the G8X, which kind of sucks. But what's interesting here is that they made the move from the physical fingerprint scanner to a in-display fingerprint scanner. So the physical one is faster, so it's pretty much instant. The in-display one, I think, is cooler. I've always thought, when this first came out, the tech came out, I always thought that was super cool. I thought, you know, Android was really ahead with that, and like, it works. It's no issues with it. But if you're trying to figure out like which one's going to be the faster one, getting into your phone is going to be better on the G8, because you have the face unlock and you only have one option on the G8X. But again, this is super cool. I don't care what anyone says. Like, yeah, it's not immediate. Like, you kind of have to hold it, but it's still cool to me. Both of these phones have IP68 dust and water resistant. They both have NFC. They both have your screen recorder, file sharing, screen sharing on here. All the little stuff that you would want in your phone is here. And of course, you have that dual screen capability on here. They both have the Hi-Fi quad DAC. So those are pretty much the differences when it comes to just the features. All right, let's go ahead and touch on the cameras. So you do have on the G8X a 12 megapixel standard, 13 megapixel ultra wide 4K video, and then you have a 32 megapixel selfie 4K video. On the G8, you have a 12 megapixel standard, a slightly, you know, higher megapixel 16 megapixel ultra wide, and then you have 4K video for the you know, rear, and then you have a 8 megapixel selfie, but 1080p video for the front. So you do have a higher recording resolution on the G8X. You can do 4K on the front facing camera. You can only need 1080p on the G8. But as far as image quality, so I've been taking phones, I've been taking pictures with both of these phones. There's no real difference. I tried to find like a difference in terms of image quality. I really couldn't. Like I put both of them on the computer. I just couldn't tell the difference with image quality. Detail was still great on both. Detail is great. You can see the pictures. They both take excellent photos, so there's no issue there. But I was trying to find see if one was taking better photos than the other. I didn't see a difference on the front or the rear, the ultra wide, the video. Even though it did 4K, I still didn't really see a difference with quality there. So to me, there's no real actual difference with camera quality on here, especially with the back cameras, because they pretty much have the same sensor. Yeah, the G8 has a slightly higher, by 3 megapixels on the ultra wide, but there's no actual real difference when it comes to image quality. And both of these phones are compatible with Gcam, so you can play around with that, and you can get even better photos. But image quality is great, very natural colors, good detail, depth of field. You do have a really nice pro mode on both of these phones as well, so you can mess with the ISO. You can get your photos looking and feeling how you want them to feel. So both excellent cameras on both of these phones, no issue at all. Alright, so let's talk about the battery situation on both of these phones. G8X, you have a larger 4,000 milliamp battery, 21 watt fast charging, 9 watt wireless charging. On the G8, you have a 3,500 milliamp battery, 21 watt fast charging with 9 watt wireless charging. Battery life is slightly better on the G8X if you're not using the dual screen. So, if you're using the dual screen, you're going to notice a drop in battery because you're powering 2 screens, obviously. But the phones by themselves, you will get slightly better screen on time on the G8X since you do have bigger battery and a slightly downgraded display on here. It really comes down to you. They both get easily 8 hours of screen on time, but I feel like you can squeeze 9 hours of screen on time on this phone. But excellent battery life on both. Not a huge difference, but it is slightly better on the G8X. So it really comes down to, if you're choosing between these two phones, I'll just break it down simple. So cameras, no difference. Display quality, better display on the G8. But you do have like little things, like you have a smaller notch, which you might like. But as far as image quality, better display on the G8. Design, smaller body versus a bigger body. If you really want to know, it feels like the V50, honestly. But it comes down to, do you want a compact or a bigger phone? As far as features, you got the physical Face ID versus no Face ID, and you have the in-display fingerprint sensor. And then the real big thing here, deciding factor, is the dual screen case. Do you want the dual screen case or not? That's what it comes down to, because there's not a bunch of huge differences with both of these phones. So basically how that would work is, if you were on Instagram, you would be on the full YouTube application, not having it split screen. It's true multitasking. Or if I wanted to just play a game on the G8 and then be on the full version of Instagram or whatever, that's basically how that works. So it comes down to, do you want that experience or not? So be sure to let me know what you guys think, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.